I am so grateful that you guys are here tonight, because that means that you have answered the call, okay? Because God was pursuing you. He knew that 4 months ago when I had no clue you would be here, He knew you would be here. I'm so glad that you guys are here tonight, because I know that God is pursuing every single one of you. And can I just hear some audience participation? Let me hear y'all say yes. God is pursuing you. Yes. Amen. I thank you guys. There's a role that you have to play in this. There's a part that you have to play in this. So that's what we're here to talk about today. Because we're the College Christian Collection, all right? And our goal is to make sure that you are encouraged and that you are also equipped. Because it's one thing to know what you're supposed to do, but it's a whole different thing to actually do what you're supposed to do, right? And to actually know how you're going to get to where you're trying to go. So that's what we're here to talk about today. What are some of the practical steps that we're supposed to be taking as we are the people who are also supposed to be pursuing God? With that, let me go ahead and introduce our panel. So our first speaker, y'all know her. She's a lifestyle YouTuber and influencer in the DFW Metroplex. She's a proud Nigerian American who recently graduated from University of North Texas, and with a degree in integrative studies, obtaining a focus in business, biology, and biochemistry. Yes, y'all, she does it all. She says she's often described as a busybody. Y'all know what that means. But this multifaceted young lady, she strives to shed light and positivity on the world, while on her off days, she enjoys big children in her sweatpants while binging on Netflix. I present to you Elizabeth Osondu.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, our next speaker, who is really awesome, guys. He is doing some awesome things. Kyle Dendy is not only just an author, he is a best-selling author of The Purpose Playbook, an internationally recognized speaker. He has reached millions of people online, and he has reached thousands of people on his speaking tour. I present to y'all, Kyle Dendy. All right, last but not least, we've got, like I said, my namesake, Nancy. She's from Dallas. But she's Nigerian. She teaches high school. But outside of her 9-to-5, she's actually a fashion-loving diva. She's a CEO and founder of Glow Styles, which stands for guiding the looks of others. She's competed in pageants, and she has organized fashion shows, fashion events. She's also a blogger. She writes inspirational quotes and does a lot of creative writing as well. She's a promoter of self-love, and her motto in life is this: live the life that you want, or sit back and watch someone else do it. The choice is yours, but it all starts from knowing who you are within. Come on up, Nancy. Hi, guys. How y'all feeling?
We're good.
Yes, thank you guys so much for being up here. Okay, so we're gonna start. This event's gonna be really conversational. We want y'all to feel comfortable, and we want y'all to feel relaxed, and we want you to feel like you're participating and engaged with us, okay? Because none of us up here, as far as I know, nobody up here is an ordained pastor. Okay, so I want y'all to think these are your friends up here, okay? And you know, when your pastor tells you about bettering your spiritual life, you're like, yeah, of course you would say that. You decided to go become a pastor. But when it's your friend talking to you about how bettering your spiritual life can actually better your whole life holistically, it's a different thing. It's a different feeling to feel like, okay, someone who's been through the things that I've been through, someone who has walked some of the things that I've walked through, is telling me that this is how they got through it. So I want you guys to feel engaged, feel relaxed, and get ready to talk with us. All right? Okay, I'm going to begin with Lizzy.
Hello.
Hi, Lizzy. Lizzy, I know that you were really active in college, and a lot of our audience members, they're college students. So what are a lot of the things that you were doing in college? You were really active. What are some of those things, and how did that let you know that you needed to make sure that you separate time for God?
Okay. Well, first and foremost, the reason I chose my university was because of God. I talked with him about which school I should choose, and he was the one who kind of listed out my pros and cons for me. So I went to the University of North Texas on a full ride track and field scholarship, and so as I was going through my college search, just looking for which one had the best fit for me athletically as well as academically, he was the one who gave me that direction. While I was at the University of North Texas, I was very involved. I was a BSc facilitator. I was vice president of my sorority. Hey. And I was very active in our African student organization. I was a mentor. I was involved in our health professions because I was originally pre-med, but then I switched senior year to business. So we'll get in more to that.
That's so good. So how did you then decide that spending time with God intentionally was something that you needed to do and something that you had to make time for throughout your day or throughout your schedule? How did you go about that?
What I would say, like, what is it called? I took some notes before I got up here because I wanted to make sure I was giving you guys tips that really helped me as I was going through undergrad. And so my 4 points that I would say for you guys are more so to devote your time to Him within each day. And this does not necessarily mean that you have to find the time to actually attend services. And I'm not saying that attending church is not good. I'm saying that it's good. But if you feel as if you're only going to church and that's all you're doing, you're not necessarily building your relationship with Christ. You have to make sure you are building your individual relationship with Him. Right. What I noticed for myself personally was that my freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, I was able to attend church services more than I was my senior year, but I grew closer with Christ in my senior year. And you don't know when God is present and when He's apparent. You have to make sure you stay devoted. I have a devotional that I read every morning, or if I don't read in the morning, then I'll read it in the evening. You want to make sure you are reading your book in the morning. You have like a Bible app that gives you a notification. The people that you surround yourself with, your friends, they are uplifting you. They're not like, hey girl, the celebrity gossip today. No, that's not what we're trying to consume our minds with. So you want to make sure that everything that you surround yourself with, whether it be the people, whether it be your environment, whether it be in your own personal space, that you are really keeping God as your number one.
So good. Thank you for sharing that. So something I think is really important with like spending time with God and having your own personal time with God is that He really reveals to you not only who He is, which is an important part of understanding Him, of knowing who He is and how He works and the ways that He is revealing Himself to you, but He reveals who you are. And Kyle here has written a book, a whole book that is the Purpose Playbook. Kyle, talk to us about that.
Yeah, so I wrote a book called The Purpose Playbook because one of the problems I realized was so prevalent in the world, especially for Christians, is that so often we go to church and we get a message or a series on the subject purpose, and it's left at this, that your purpose is to glorify God, which is true and is important. But for the person who's not called to vocational ministry, on Monday morning you're left saying, wait a minute, what does that look like for me? And what I realize is that so many times we're getting so many people telling us that you have a purpose, but not people showing us how to find it. And so if I can, I want to share a quick spoken word that I wrote.
Yes.
Yeah. Actually, I want everyone real quick just to close your eyes for a second and just kind of envision these words that I'm going to share with you. It goes like this: knock, knock, who's there? It's a kid who's man enough to call out society and disrupt the straight rows and chairs. I'm tired of seeing all of my peers get placed in a box. Like being placed in a box ring to box Mike Tyson in his prime, their untrained dreams get knocked, their skip gets rocked, and when they stumble and fall into the flow of I'm just going with the flow, society takes a death grip on their dream and refuses to let go. You're sitting in this chair for just 17 years. We'll train you up to maybe get a steady job, work for 40 years, complain about life over a few beers, and talk about woulda, shoulda, coulda, when all of those things were always closer than they appeared. Listen, kid. The science says the chances of you being born is something like 1 in 400 trillion, and if that's true, then you have better chances of winning the lottery with odds of 1 in hundreds of millions. And while your guidance counselor may say that the dream that you have is something like 1 in a billion, I'd bet on that one if my soul believed that that one was the purpose for which God sent me to this earth with the chance to be brilliant. You see, not every single person is a perfect fit to the mold. Not every single person can be accurately judged by 2 standardized tests, contrary to what we've been told. You see, a perfect score on the ACT doesn't mean that you're smart. Paid hundreds of dollars for ACT prep just to find out that guessing is an art. They'll teach you the guessing strategies too good to be true. You can guess on the test using what they teach and get the score you need to slip through. And maybe I wasn't supposed to say that, but the other kid who can't afford the cheat code, struggles through the test, actually tries, is judged by the exact same standard and can't get a score to make do. But if that kid is you, I came to tell you today that this too is true. That you get one shot at life on this earth, so it's time to raise the bar. Bet on your strengths and follow your heart, for the pull that you feel will guide you to greatness like the North Star. You see, my problem is not with education. That's not the problem at all. My problem is that society day by day tries to cut the cord on the phone that allows one to hear their life's call. We train kids like robots and tell them not to break the rules, but I want to know who made the rules in the first place, because I believe it's the rules that need a review. And I understand that you're much older than I am. I understand that you've seen much more than I have, but just because I'm young doesn't mean I'm dumb. If it's the youth that will live and what the future becomes, shouldn't a young youth with a voice have a say in the outcome? Listen, it's time to make it okay to not fit the mold. And with this next idea, I believe I've struck gold. If we take a few less courses in isosceles triangles and take a course in how to be bold, how to be wise, how to find our life's purpose before our life dies. If I hear one more person talk down about my generation with zero sense of hope in their eyes, all I will think in the back of my mind is lies, 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 because our generation is coming up in a system that tells us to shoot for the skies, but the moment that we do tries to make sure that we don't rise, there is hope for our generation, but it's hidden behind the lies, so let the world keep talking down on us and we will rise, rise, rise. I want everyone to open your eyes. Listen, every single person in here today, what you have to understand about the purpose that God has for your life, no matter your age, race, background, past experiences, or anything, the fact that you are here, there's still a reason that you are here. That God has a purpose for your life. I believe Miles Monroe was accurate when he said that your existence is evidence that this generation needs something that's inside of you. You're not supposed to be born a year later or a year before. Like, you're not supposed to be born a decade before or a generation after. Your existence is evidence that this generation needs something that's inside of you. The problem, however, is that most people, not just non-Christians, most people go through their entire lives and never discover why they were here. They put blinders up and they go through school and they get the GPA and they get the internship and they get the job and they retire with the gold watch and they do all that stuff and they breathe in God's air and they die, having never discovered why they were lived. And because of this purpose problem that makes me so passionate, because I hate to hear people say with pain in their eyes, I don't know my purpose. That's why I wrote the Purpose Playbook. And what this book does is it's split up into 3 parts. The first part is called Developing the Purpose Mindset. Then we go to Discovering Your Purpose, part 2. And the last part is Purpose in Action. So that's the book that I wrote, the Purpose Playbook. I would love to meet you guys after, sign that for you. But my name is Kyle Dendy, and I've dedicated my life to helping others find their purpose. So.
That's amazing. See, I just love your passion. I love how you have found what God is calling you to do, and you are getting out there, and you are not letting anything stop you from doing it, because this is a message that we do need to hear. I think young people, we get really complacent, and we get really trapped by the distractions of this world, and we look around and we're like, oh, well, everyone else is doing this, or everyone else is doing that, and we think that's what we're supposed to be doing. But it's okay to stand out. It's okay to say that I'm going to go the route that God has told me to, because I can't even formulate a better life for my own self if I had to create it for myself. No, it is God who's going to take me where I can live my best life. That best life you're talking about, you're looking at that girl who's over there traveling to Benin and traveling to Congo or Dubai, and you're like, yeah, she lived her best life, and I'm trying to do that too. Look, maybe that's her best life, but who says that's yours? God has something completely different for you. If you walk in it, He knows who He has created. He knows what's inside of you and how He can use that to let you live your best life. I just love talking about purpose, because when you start walking your purpose and when you start saying that I'm going to do what God is calling me to do, you have to know who's around you. You have to look around at your friends and look around at your community and say, am I surrounded by the right people? How are they influencing me? And in turn, how am I influencing them? And Nancy, I think you'd be a perfect person to talk about that, because you are creating a business for yourself, and you're a few years outside of college already, and she is in the community. And I want to know how it is that you make sure that you are surrounding yourself by the right people and that you are also influencing them in the right way.
I first want to say that each one of y'all up here, y'all just basically said it all. And it was amazing. Like, I'm just like, each of y'all talking just like, oh my gosh. You can't be afraid to be by yourself. Honestly, like you cannot be afraid to be by yourself, you know, because especially, you know, most of y'all are like in college or out of college, you know, you're around people, you want to be around people, but sometimes people are not necessarily, it's not like your hairs are holding you back. The people around you are probably holding you back because you're allowing them to. And so for me, I found myself in isolation a lot. And, you know, sometimes it was a bad thing, sometimes it was a good thing. But like looking back on it, those were like at that time, it's like, this does not feel so good. But it's like, that's probably like the best period of my life, because now I can stand on my own 2 feet.
This event was absolutely amazing, and I'm so blessed to have been able to be a panelist and share the word of God. If you guys would like more videos like this, please like, comment, and subscribe down